My next guest is truly a living legend of comedy. He is a perfect example of why you want to come see the show live here in Nashville. And if you're a baby boomer, you grew up watching him on every single channel. And he pretty much lived on the Tonight Show couch because he was there so often. I want you to welcome back to our show the undisputed king of celebrity impressions, the legendary Mr. Rich Little. Thank you.
I'm still alive.
Boy, are you ever. I got to tell you, the only thing that was more exciting about having you on the show about a year ago is having you back. I've never had so much fun in my life, and just the joy of meeting you has been a thrill for me.
I am delighted to be back. I got a lot of feedback, from doing your show. I'm doing a show in Vegas at the Tropicana 4 nights a week, and I've been there for 3 years. And when the show's over, I go out and sell a lot of my books and my artwork and a lot of my old TV shows. And the money we give to Gary Sinise for the troops.
Wonderful.
And
beautiful.
Anyway, more people came up to me and said, we're here tonight to see you because we saw you on the Huckabee show.
Wow. You know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to say, I had such response of being on your show, but I came back anyway. And thank you for not doing that. We're so glad to visit with you again because, we could spend weeks and never exhaust. What a career that continues, and I'm just amazed. But one thing I learned about you, Rich, is that we're familiar with a lot of the impressions you've done of people on the stage, but I found out that you were actually enlisted to do the voices of very famous actors who couldn't fulfill their lines in movies. Tell us about that.
That's right. I did Peter Sellers for a couple of Pink Panther movies when he passed away, and David Niven had lost his voice. He got Lou Gehrig's disease. And he could hardly talk at all, and I dubbed him for a couple of Pink Panther movies. I did Tony Curtis for a movie he walked off of in Italy. He didn't get paid. And
did you?
Well, that's the thing. I went in and dubbed his voice because he just left. And I didn't know anything about the background of this movie or anything. It was a terrible movie. He never got paid. And after I did it, he phoned me up on the phone. He said, Rich, did you go and dub for me in that picture? I said, yes, I did, Tony. Did they pay you? I said, yeah. Well, you owe half of it to me.
Now, this is amazing because I'd never heard this before. Your voice dubbed in movies, Peter Sellers, David Niven, Tony Curtis, people like that. Yeah. If we watched that movie, we were never told, we didn't know that you had done that.
Yeah, probably. I did Gene Kelly for a Christmas special, too. And Gene Kelly had kind of a high voice like this. He talked like this, and he had lost it completely, and I went in and dubbed the whole show, and nobody ever knew.
That's incredible. So here you are doing the job you do so well that you can do celebrities on film and people think it was actually the celebrity.
Well, that's what they hoped. And
well, obviously it worked.
Yeah, it did work. It did work. And I sent David Niven a little note after it because Blake Edwards did the picture. And he was living in Europe somewhere. And I sent him a note saying, I love doing you. David Niven, of course, talked like this, very down, very, very British. And I said to him, I would be happy to come over there and follow you around and imitate you wherever you go.
Wonderful.
And I got a nice reply from him.
That is beautiful.
Thank you for prolonging my career.
Now, many of us have remembered all these impressions through the years, but you're still doing impressions of people that are right out there in the news every day today.
Yeah, my act is not totally deceased,
No, it isn't.
But I do Dr. Phil.
Let's hear that one.
Doctor, I know that you know that I know. And if you knew that, then we both would know if we knew it all when we knew it.
Robert De Niro, is he one of yours?
I don't do Robert De Niro, really, because he's a liberal. And they have nothing to say. But I do, what's his name? Sebastian Gorka.
Oh, yeah, we see him a lot doing commentary. I know Sebastian well.
Yeah, he's got an interesting voice and where is he from?
He's Hungarian. He's from Hungary.
Hungarian?
Yes.
Sean, I know that these people are so dumb. It takes them 2 hours to watch 60 Minutes. They are dumb. They are brick short. I tell you. You know, he has that kind of a
And then you've got Mark Stein.
Yeah, Mark Stein.
Thanks a lot, Tucker. Thanks a lot, Tucker. And then Tucker Carlson is, hey, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. Thanks a lot, Tucker. Oh, thanks for coming on. And you know, Tucker Carlson, who is very good, he's excellent. But when he's talking to a guest that's on the remote, and he's looking into the camera, this is my impression of Tucker Carlson listening to somebody. Here's my impression of Tucker Carlson laughing. And Newt Gingrich, he's got a great voice too.
You do him?
It never changed, you know. Newt Gingrich talk like this. I don't understand what's going on. I just don't understand these people. This is ridiculous. I don't understand it. You know?
Do you have a favorite of all the years? I mean, you've done probably
Ronald Reagan is my favorite.
Of all time.
Of all the people I've known, and he was just an incredible man with a great sense of humor. And when you were talking to Ronald Reagan, he gave you his full attention. He never took his eyes off you. He never looked away. He was just concentrated on you, and I was always impressed with that. And I realized years later that the reason was he couldn't hear. He was reading your lips. He was reading your lips. He would read lips, because I don't think he had much hearing at all.
What?
But, you know, if Ronald Reagan was alive today and he was doing that famous Berlin speech, he would probably say, Miss Pelosi, build that wall. And I remember one time a reporter said to President Reagan, Mr. President, when does a fetus become a human being? And Reagan said, when it votes Republican.
A whole new definition.
Isn't that a great line? He loved that.
Some of the classic actors, and some of these are characters that have outlived their own lifetimes. I mean, Jimmy Cagney, John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
You did Jimmy Stewart, I understand, one time for a tribute to him, so much so that you dubbed in his voice for a town. Did that happen?
Well, let's see. Indiana, Pennsylvania is where he's from. And I did some recordings that they played on the street corner, telling people when to walk and when the light was going to change and all that. And I did it as Jimmy Stewart.
So how would Jimmy Stewart tell us when to walk? And
what I'd just say, hold on, the light is red. And you can cross in a few minutes, but Harvey wants to cross right now. But he was a delightful man, Jimmy Stewart. He had a great sense of humor, and I used to go over and visit him at his home on Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills, and he didn't live in a gated community, you know.
He did
not. There was
not.
no gate around his house or anything. Anybody could walk up to his front door, and they did too.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember one time I was over visiting him, and we had a nice little afternoon together and had tea and talked. And then he he escorted me out to my car, and he came with me. And as we approached my car, a tour bus pulled around the corner, and the bus driver said, "Oh my gosh, not only Jimmy Stewart's house, but there's Jimmy Stewart himself coming down the walkway with Rich Little." I said, "My God, what is Rich Little doing at your house, Jimmy?" And Jimmy said, "Rich comes by here once a month to get his batteries recharged." And then another time, he told me a funny story about, he said, you know, people, they just drive by and sometimes they come up and rap on the door and everything. But he said, one day a family came by in a truck, and they got out of the truck and they put a blanket down, and then they proceeded to bring out chicken and salad and wine, and they had a picnic on my lawn.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, "Well, Jim, gosh, did you phone the police?" "Oh, no, Rich, I couldn't do that. They seem like nice people." "Well, did you just tell them, please, would you get off my lawn?" No, I couldn't do that, Rich. So you did nothing?" "Well, not exactly. I wandered back to the back of the house and turned the sprinklers on." Gloria and I were eating chicken for about a week.
Soggy chicken, no less.
Isn't that a great story?
That's a great story.
Turned the sprinklers on.
Rich, did you ever make someone mad and you did an impression of them and they were offended or didn't like it? Has that ever happened?
Oh, yeah. Paul Lynde. Do you remember on Hollywood Squares?
Yeah.
Paul Lynde hated my impression.
Really?
I mean, it was no joke. He really hated it. And every time I did him on the Tonight Show or on the Dean Martin roast, the looks I got from him, you wouldn't believe. And he, you know, the camera would go from me to him for a reaction, and he'd go, "Who's he doing? Who's that? I'll get a day job. That's disgusting." Oh, God. But, you know,
we all know who it was.
But you know, one of the great thrills of my career is the people I met and worked with. I mean, all these people that I grew up idolizing on the screen, and then to work with them and get to know them personally, it was just the greatest thrill for me, you know. I was so saddened to see that Carol Channing passed away.
Wonderful talent.
Oh, she was a wonderful, and the Academy Awards, you know, didn't say anything about her on the Academy Awards. She was not mentioned.
That's just
disgusting.
Rude.
That is awful.
Very disrespectful.
She was an icon. Carol Channing. You know, she was always a little out of focus, you know. She'd come up to you and she wouldn't know who you were, and then when you got about a foot from you, she'd go, "Oh, Rich, it's you." You know, if a diamond is a girl's best friend, and a dog is a man's best friend, well, who do you think is the smarter set?
You know, you were talking about what a joy it is to be around people that you idolize. And I got to tell you something, having you on this show, getting to meet you and just be able to be in your presence.
Please.
Let me tell you something. For guys like me, it is one of the great honors of my life. Rich Little, thank you.
Well, you know, in a way, I'm glad you didn't become president because I wouldn't be here tonight.
Well, that's true. Thanks for reminding me of how that turned out.
But you know something? You know something? If I was president, and of course I never will be because I'm a Canadian, but no, if I was president, you know the first thing I would do?
What's that?
I'd do something about the poor, the sick, the infirm, the feeble. I would see to it that congressmen served only one term.
Rich Little, everybody, give him a big hand.
Thank you.
Wow. All right, Keith, why don't you tell everybody how they can see Rich Little in person?
If I can catch my breath. If you want to experience an incredible evening in entertainment, go see this man live and in person. He's at the Tropicana in Vegas, and tickets are at troplv.com. That's troplv.com. Be sure and get them in advance of your trip so you don't miss out. And visit therichlittle.com to enjoy Rich Little's comedic genius online.